I know. I'm getting like garlic bread or pizza or something.
Somebody had lunch, I think.
Oh, they come. What? Oh,
I can smell food.
there's lunch for me. Okay, we're running back. Okay, we will go ahead and call this board briefing to order at 2:01 p.m.
Microphones.
Commissioner Fournier in his car.
Put your microphone on.
Bossy.
What?
I said, thank you. I couldn't hear you.
We said, look, there's Commissioner Fournier in his car.
I heard you guys talking about food. I just had a big pastrami sandwich in Seaside. It was
So you
delicious.
couldn't hear us.
I
Turning my
could barely.
microphone back off. Okay, sorry everyone. Welcome. We have called this meeting to order. We are a small bunch today. Unusually small. Okay, fabulous. Well, we have a short list of topics today. In fact, we have one topic on our list. So we will begin with the Board of Commissioners travel budget. We have Isabel with us. Bless her heart. We are a nightmare. So thank you for your work on this already.
So for this afternoon, we're going to review a little bit of last year's budget and then look at the proposed budget for the next fiscal year. Last year, we budgeted a little higher than usual, given that it was an election year, and we budgeted for multiple commissioners who were coming on board, just trying to anticipate for that happening. So the budget that year was just a little higher than what it's been historically, and we also did a little different last year. We bundled. We came up with a process for the commissioners to have a little more flexibility in the conferences they're attending. So we came up with the idea of a stipend, where last year the commissioners had we attend the annual conference in Eugene every year, so that's always on the budget. And then for the NACO conference, there's 3 conferences per year, and they're all quite different. And last year it was decided we would give the commissioners a stipend of $52.50. That included $3,500 for the NACO conference of their choice, and the annual conference in Eugene was $17.50. So that was part of the added cost last year. We budgeted for every commissioner to attend a NACO conference, which we hadn't done in the past. And so that's the higher cost with the addition of the second commissioner. So of that budget last year, we adopted $50,000 and $420, and because we did not get 2 new commissioners and several grants, a grant came in for the county college for Commissioner Fournier, and Commissioner Bell didn't attend the tribal training meeting. And so that was the savings of the 50,042 budget. We saved 18. We haven't spent 18,000 of that, and
Wow.
which we won't moving forward. Currently, of the 50,000, we are running like just under 21,000 in our travel budget, and I forecast to the end of the year to come up to probably like 26,000 at the most.
Wow.
So we planned for these additional costs, but we did not incur them. So with that said, moving to the 25-26 budget, you'll see at the top of the page I gave you option A and option B. And so I went with option A, which is the same as last year, where we offer the commissioners they adopt a stipend. And for that, it's the same. We went with the $52.50. And then the option B is just what we would normally do. We broke those conferences apart, so where you could go to the AOC in November, and if you were attending, to go to the NACO conference. So what I budgeted after speaking to each commissioner and to Rachel, for the option B, the annual conference in Eugene, we have 3 commissioners and Rachel, and that's pretty standard for every year. And then for the NACO conferences, Commissioner Bell had expressed interest in attending, as did Rachel. And Commissioner Fournier initially said he hadn't planned to attend, but he may change his mind on that. So, and then for Commissioner Scar, your travel for NACO next year is being paid by AOC because you'll be the president of chair of AOC. So your travel expenses going from January 1st, 2026 will be paid by AOC. And there's a cap of $17,500 and $3,500 per conference.
Great.
So for you next year for the NACO conference, there'll be no costs associated with that.
You're welcome.
Before we move on. And I did have a good time. I thought it was valuable for me to go to the legislative conference last year. I didn't go this year for obvious reasons. But it's not a must do. I appreciate the travel budget. If more than one commissioner is going, and I don't want to take the place of a commissioner. So it's in here as a nice to have, but certainly defer to your judgment on whether it's appropriate for me to go. So just want to throw that in there.
Okay. Yeah, and for the AOC conference this year, Commissioner Scar's travel will come out of our budget because she's not being appointed till the start of 2026. The next slide item is also for AOC conference in Eugene is for 2 BOCC staff and county council. It's a little higher than last year because the affiliate county council group is now meeting over a 2-day period instead of a 1. And so the conference registration went up last year. We weren't expecting that. So I built in a couple of $100 extra on that one to accommodate the extra hotel fee, and the registration was almost double what it was last year. So that's for county council, and 2 BOCCF is $2,200. Then we have the AOC legislative retreat for Commissioner Scar, and that one will be in sometime in, I think you said June or September 26.
Yeah, it's been traditionally September, but this year it's June, so yeah.
And
I think
again,
it's gonna
that's
be June.
it's no cost to the county. It'll be paid for by AOC, so that's another savings that we had in the budget last year. And then we have the ICMA annual conference that Rachel attends every year. And I think it's in Tampa this year. So, and then the last conference is the tribal relations training with our Commissioner Bell. I think the company is Seven Sources.
Seventh Sovereign.
Seventh Sovereign.
And I meant to go this year and I just didn't, but I'd like to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have that in there. That's the last of the conferences. And I think we should, or we could discuss the conferences if we give me direction for the budget, whether we want to move forward with option A and bundle again, or whether there's not a huge difference. If you look at the bottom of the page, we have, if you choose option A, which is the stipend, again, gives you that flexibility where every commissioner attends the NACO conference and the AOC, it's a $36,920. If you go with option B, which we separate it out, it's $33,442. So I guess we can discuss who intends to actually attend the NACO conference in 26. I know Commissioner Scar is a yes, because it's being paid for, so that has no impact on
Right.
I was willing to not do anything, but if Commissioner Scars is free, I might consider going to one. So, but again, I'm also conscious of the expense. So I don't know. I mean, I'd love to go. I just was trying to be conscious of the expense.
You're a definite yes next year.
I'd like to plan to go.
Yeah,
You know, we could change our minds if we're in a budget crisis or
Sure.
whatever. I've only been once.
yeah. So maybe, Paul, if you're interested in going, I think I would recommend that we budget for 2 beyond Aaron going max. And then if Paul decides he wants to go and you for sure go, I just wouldn't go.
Okay.
And then if one of you decide not to go, we would reevaluate whether I should go.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think the budget you have, I think is fine if you are supportive of that, just to keep maybe just budget for 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the AOC conference in Eugene, everybody's attending that.
Yeah, and I think that's an important one for all of us to
Mhm.
attend. And
Yeah, I
this year we have to pay for me, but the following year we won't have to pay for me.
Right.
So again, you're welcome.
Okay. So no option A.
No.
Just forget that. Then the county council and BOCC staff. they attend the affiliate county council meetings, and then the reason for the BOCC staff there is the event.
Oh, we
Yeah,
need you
I
guys.
would need you guys to be there.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't hear you, Paul.
I said, I agree with you 100%. They have to be there.
And the legislative retreat is no cost. That's the Commissioner Scar. And then the ICMA conference for Rachel, it's an annual conference. Okay. And the tribal relations conference, that's for Commissioner Bell.
Yeah, I'd like to go this year.
Okay. The next item on the list is it's Mr. Commissioner's meeting mileage, but it also includes some hotels. It's predominantly mileage, but there's occasionally meetings in there that have hotels, like the ONC
And there will
meeting.
be, ONC is going to a quarterly meeting this year, and 2 of those will be in Roseburg. So on Friday, I got up and left at 5 a.m. and didn't make use of a hotel, mostly because I had just come back from DC. But there is always an evening event that goes with ONC, and so I think that if we're going to continue to participate in ONC, we need to plan to have, there's at least 2 hotels per year. And
Yep, and I did budget that hotel in my.
okay, because when it's in Salem, that's fine, and we can make that happen on a drive much more easily. But 3.5 hours, it was a bit long to drive down and
Yeah,
attend the meeting and drive 3.5 back. That
They
was
spread
like,
the meetings all over the
yeah,
place.
I can do
so
it,
it's
but it wasn't my favorite day.
kind of hard to predict that one.
Jet lag from DC.
Right, yeah, I was coming from, I was already on East Coast time, getting up early wasn't such a thing, but, anyway, I think ONC counties does, between, the different funding sources in there, contributes just over $500,000 to our budget, and I believe that we can actually, I don't know if we do or not, I think Sean is with us, there is timber money that is intended to assist in supporting our participation in some of the timber pieces, and I don't know if we use any of that for this, so.
We do
Sean-
not use any of that for this.
Okay.
But we could.
Good.
Is that,
I'm believing
It-
that we could, if we
It's just
feel
never been done.
right, but this is in support of and participation of this piece of it. So do we get, I mean, we put money into the timber trust.
so we put
Mhm.
money into the timber trust. The revenues are budgeted based on what we will use for actuals. And so I'm pulling up my budget. I just finished the budget request. And
It's a good question to ask, if this is the participation specifically in federal timber work. And we do get a slice of federal timber that comes to, I believe there's about 50,000 off the Forest Service lands that comes into our general fund.
so if your work is support, if the expense is supporting our timber, it can go in there. So what's in the timber fund now is, CFTLC dues, membership and dues, legal, 5,000 to the chamber for working lands and water. So I don't see any reason not to put ONC travel in here.
Yeah, it has only historically been used for the legal and the membership. Exploring the possibility of using it for travel is definitely an option, but I'd want county council's opinion on that.
I was looking to see if we had county council today.
No, I didn't think there was any topics for Bill today.
Well, and we
Is that
can
more-
ex-
yeah.
we can check that, but I think if we are feeling that budgets are very tight and we want to make sure that general fund is being left for other purposes, it's an opportunity to look at timber, which is limited in its uses if
I agree. You
And
wouldn't,
support
you wouldn't
travel.
go if it weren't for that.
it won't go or I
yeah.
won't stay overnight. I
Yeah.
will I'll do more marathon drives.
But regardless, if it fits in here, it should be in there.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree.
So can you send me the travel total associated with ONC meetings, conferences?
It's just meetings.
Okay.
There are 4 meetings a year, 2 in Salem, 2 in Roseburg, I believe is how they're planning it. And there's always an evening meeting followed by the day meeting.
Yeah, that's
Evening
easy.
isn't always required, but
Okay. Okay, I'll send it to you. And I'll take it out of the budget.
well, it'll still be travel, it'll just be paid differently, so I don't know how you do that, because
No,
it's,
in a different budget.
okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
And just for Paul's benefit, Isabel and I were talking about mileage. We don't have a very clear process or procedure or even policy for mileage. So, for example, I don't think I've charged for mileage at all this year, other than maybe the AOC conference because Isabel did it for me. And I don't like when I'm driving in the county, I feel like that's part of my job. I think I could reasonably charge for mileage when I'm driving outside the county and it would be appropriate. But my point to you is just that it's that we're all just kind of doing what we feel is right about mileage. And so I appreciate having it in the budget, but we may or may not use it.
Yeah, I, if I'm using my car and my tires and wearing stuff out and I'm driving over like 30, 40 miles, I'm gonna be putting mileage in.
Yeah, and I put mileage in. I don't if I'm moving around central Tillamook. You know, a mile here, a mile there, I'm not going to do. If I drive to North County or South County for a meeting, I do because it's not where, you know, I would generally be. And I feel like I have a lot of regional things. And so I end up traveling to St. Helens and Salem. And so I do mileage when I do those. I think it's important within the work that we do that the costs are representative of what it takes to do that work. I think that that ultimately this is for me it's a career. It's a paid job. It's how I'm doing what I do, and I think that should be represented. I know I had some conversations. I think with Commissioner Bartline before, you know, when we were doing the crossover and stuff, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't do that." It's like, well, you know, you have a retirement and a different career, and this is kind of a second act for you. It's not a second act for me, right? I mean, I'm actually supporting my life on this, and so I feel like mileage is an important part of what an employer provides. So I think it should be available, whether you choose to use it or not, certainly, but I think it should be available.
Okay. And so
But it's a
the
great
last
philosophical conversation for policy, Rachel,
Yeah, it is.
which is probably on your list.
Well,
Well, I spent most of my career with a company car, so I don't have a company car now, so I definitely need to be, if I'm, you know, again, not driving around Tillamook or Bay City or anything like that, but if I'm heading up to Seaside like today, I'll be putting in for mileage.
Sure. Yeah, appropriately. And for me, the boundary is just in the county. I think, oh, well, I'm elected to represent the whole county, so that makes sense to me, but I'm not telling you guys how to do it.
yeah, and the policy is that if any mileage you're in your own car is eligible for reimbursement. And so it's within your discretion what you choose to put forth or not.
Yeah.
I had one employee at one time who was charging miles from the courthouse to Tillamook PD for meetings.
Wow. Wow.
2 miles, 1.5 miles.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll make that adjustment for the OMC counties. I'll come up with a more
Thank you.
accurate total and send to Rachel. And then the last segment of the travel budget is miscellaneous mileage, and that's for unexpected meetings that we don't know are happening. So I budgeted $300 per year for each commissioner and for Rachel, and we've done that the last 3 or 4 years, and it seems to work out well because we can't predict every meeting.
Nope. Want to meet you, just invited us to one in Beaverton. I don't know if anybody's going to make it, but yeah, things like that just pop up.
And so with that, I will adjust the budget with the ONC counties meeting, and we're going to go with option B with no stipend, and keep in the NACO conference for 2 attendees, and Commissioner Scar, and everything else pretty much the same, I think, unless there was any omissions that
I don't think so.
Not that I can think of.
Thank you for doing this work.
Oh, you're welcome. It was interesting to see the breakdown of where we saved last year.
Yeah, because we
And
got
the
it
money,
like
it was substantial. The money that we thought we might spend, but we actually didn't. So that it was nice to see that cost savings.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate, I like the idea of budgeting for the lesser amount, just because I heard from more than one party over this last year, like, well, the commissioners have $50,000 of travel in their budgets, which we did. And so, you know, you can say, well, we're probably not gonna use all that, but if it's there in the budget, it looks like we intend to use it. So I just appreciate having a more conservative number of the budget because we spend it conservatively.
Yeah, and
Reflects
the,
what we're really doing.
for last year um, it was the exception. We had never budgeted that, and these were, items that were potentially gonna happen. So, I mean, we had to include them in the budget. If we didn't, it would look like we were overspent and didn't
Right.
budget accordingly.
Right, 'cause if I
So-
had lost my race, we would have had an additional new commissioner and, yeah,
There was a lot of expenses associated with that position that were just unknown at the time we
Yeah.
developed the budget.
Yeah.
So, it was,
well, good.
okay, I think, if anybody has any questions, I'll make the adjustments. I'll send Rachel the ONC totals, and I think that'll finish up our BLC budget. This is the last
Oh, good.
piece that had to be finalized.
Thank you.
Just in time.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that is our only official topic that was on our list. Are there other topics that didn't get on the list but that we would like to discuss today?
I can give you a brief update on the PAC for the TLT. And I have here the list, which I didn't make it to the copier before this meeting, but I'll make you your own copy and
Okay.
all one also. The list of opportunities of public
okay.
meetings
Mhm.
that I hope that you two will be able to take, sign up for a few of those and we're the group is getting back together on Friday and things are moving forward. I need to get a copy of whatever bill filed with the clerk's office last week. That's, I think, the ballot title or whatever, and send that in. We have to send that in for the PAC. But I think it's all moving forward.
Excellent.
I have a AFSCME management team meeting tomorrow, and on the agenda is their endorsement of the campaign.
Great.
I don't know if you've had a chance to, I don't know what I should tell them. I shared with you that they're ready when you're able to reach out to them, and I don't know what I should share them for an update.
I haven't talked to Casey about it, but I could call him this afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do have one thing before we go. We had talked about, I think two of the commissions know about this. Debbie was going to work up a recognition sheet for me to give to the Transit Authority, to give to Brian or for his staff and doing the dialysis transportation while we've been down. And I saw Will today at the summit, and he's interviewing Brian today for a story for next week. So I thought maybe if we could do that next week at the beginning of the meeting, maybe because it'll be in the paper, and then we can just. It's just a timing. If that's not okay, we can push it off. But I figured there'll be an article about specifically that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, I'll get with Deb, take a look at that, and make sure you guys see what it says and agree with all of it.
Cool, sounds good.
How's
Cool.
your conference?
It's good. It's good. Yeah, I'll tell you about it.
Yeah.
It was good. Yeah, I had some interesting table mates. But it's very good stuff. Stuff we all talk about locally. Kind of the stuff that we're doing. Dan Haig was there. He was on one of the panels. So definitely talking about accessibility, which we've already been working on and looking at, and the importance of that. Again, I feel pretty good that we're in the right direction, doing what we're doing. So
Good.
Good, excellent. Really quick, I want to give you guys, I don't think I've given you this update. If I have, stop me. For the Salmonberry Trail work for the STIA redo, we're going to have a meeting on the 28th of March to talk as the STIA group about this potential new structure for STIA. And I think I shared that the parks has stepped forward and is essentially looking at, they would take over the lease from STIA, so they would kind of become the backbone part of the Salmonberry Trail, but then it would be supported by two different committees. One would be what they're calling the Owner Committee, which is where Tillamook County would sit, and it is really all of the people who currently sit on STIA, so the Port of Tillamook Bay, Washington County, Tillamook County, Parks, Department of Forestry. I think Washington County has their Visitors Association. So it's kind of the group of people that are, and then from the tribes, there's a representation. The group that is currently the ownership group. And the intent of this would be to provide a little bit more responsibility to Tillamook County, Washington County, Department of Forestry, and Parks, frankly.
By that, do you mean OPRD?
OPRD, yes, by OPRD, thank you. And that the trail would end up getting divided into segments, of which each of us had a level of responsibility for our segment. Tillamook County segment would be Tillamook County, minus the area that the Department of Forestry owns, and potentially if there are sections that Park owns, because Park has some land up the Nehalem River. And they haven't completely drawn these lines yet. That would be part of the negotiation. And Tillamook County's responsibility would not be to build the trail or maintain the trail or anything along those lines. It would just kind of be to be the coordinating body within that section of the trail. So the example is right now, Rockaway Beach is working on a section of trail, or Wheeler is working on a section of trail, and the Creamery is working on a section of trail. So right now they're just working with the Salmonberry Trail Foundation. STIA is aware of these particular areas that the trail is looking at, being built. But into the future, the key would be that we in Tillamook County would have a voice to say whether or not we think the group that's coming together to build the trail and manage the trail, we feel like, yeah, that's a good partnership. We think that will work in our community. And in the event that that partnership were to fail, we would act as a leading body to basically try to find some new partners to come together to take over that section of trail. So this is still pretty loose as to exactly how it will work, but that's the concept. That's committee number one. The second committee would be what they're calling Trail Champions. And these are the people that are, or organizations that are likely to build the trail and ultimately manage the trail. The foundation, the cities, maybe it would be a friends of group that forms. There's lots of things that could happen in the future. It's a long trail. But again, the county's role in that would be to say, do we feel like this is a solid group that's going to make it? As opposed to, hey, two friends, Bob and Bill, decided they're going to build the trail, between Nehalem and the confluence or whatever, and we'd say, well, who are Bob and Bill? Like, was this realistic? Is this something we're going to agree? Yes, they can have access. Yes, they can have a lease. Yes, they can do this. So the ownership group has kind of that voice in their region to say, is this a good path forward? And that champions group are people that are like, we want to build the trail. We want to be a part of this movement. So that's kind of the direction that it's heading at this point. There's a lot more to be fleshed out, and we'll be talking about it on the 28th. But I wanted to get it in front of both of you because I will be needing to provide input with the voice of Tillamook County to kind of say either, yeah, we think that could work. We think Tillamook County could take a role of sort of a convener overseer as opposed to a trail builder or operator. We're not taking on either of those unless we decide there's a section we want to, but more of a convener and overseer in our county for the partnerships that form and for the commitments that are made. Thoughts or questions on that? I know it's vague. We're still pretty vague.
Yeah,
Paul, did you have something?
No, I was just going to say I would agree that we should be involved a little bit just in that capacity.
Okay.
Yeah, generally speaking, I do too. I don't see why we wouldn't convene or be the let's talk about what we're doing in Tillamook County group. Okay. Yeah.
And then I think the question would come in, excuse me, looking at Rachel assist too, is who is that? Is it as it has been now, which is me as a commissioner attending the meetings and bringing forward what's needed? Would we look at placing that with a particular department rather than the BOC? So I think there is a space there to look at I know we're curious about what's going to happen with TLT, if we're going to end up with a facilities person, if it's going to end up as a parks thing. So I think that that's probably a further discussion for us here as it develops. But I do want to kind of put that just as a thinking point for all of us as we are moving forward and kind of building whatever we will with our TLT vision is, does the Salmonberry Trail end up having a designated staff in Tillamook County that is not a commissioner that is part of the process?
And could it be Dan Haig?
Right. No, I thought about that too. He's on the Salmonberry Trail Foundation board with me, and could we do that? Or would we pay for a person to be at parks if we see a larger role where we might commit TLT, more of it to parks, our parks, since Dan Kais has trail background in planning, you know, and use it as an opportunity to grow the capacity in our parks too. So I think there's a lot of places that it could be, because it could be
maybe.
Dan Haig, it could be in parks under Dan Kais, it could be a commissioner continues, whatever.
Yeah, I think we need more information, of course, but because it doesn't seem like a full-time job, but maybe there are other possibilities of what it could be. But what I'm recalling is that when we asked Dan to create the job of trails coordinator that we pay for with TLT, and that's what Dan is.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean he has the capacity to do it, but we could certainly ask, because he's currently the expert on Tillamook County trails in Tillamook.
Yeah, and he was at the Capitol on Monday for the Salmonberry Trail for Trails Foundation or Trails Lobbying Day and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
so.
he's doing amazing.
Yep. So I think it's just to put it out there. I will share on the 28th that you were generally supportive of the concept and that we look forward to more details if that's comfortable. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other updates? We might have the shortest board briefing we've had in a while.
Just wondering about budget reviews. So on the home stretch with my budget preparations, I have about 25, and I won't have a chance to meet with all three of you before I send them in. So I'm going to get them done, send them in, and then I'll try to meet with you, and I will meet with you in the next week or two to go over those. And if there's changes, we can do that accordingly. Last year, just in thinking about talking about this, I was recalling sitting here with all of the printouts, which were a little less than 20 last year. I don't know if that was worthwhile. I don't know if you need to see everyone. Do you want to see all the budgets, or do you want me to highlight what I think is noteworthy and just go over those without having these printouts and narratives and going through each one with you? Happy to do either, but I want it to be worth the time if we're going to do that. So, thoughts?
I loved what you did for us last year.
Okay.
It was dynamic. It was really cool. I liked seeing it. I liked the way you walked me through it. I understood everything you were talking about. It was very nice. I also trust your judgment. So if there are things that are really, really just, straightforward or copy and paste from last year or whatever, I don't necessarily need to see everything, but I really appreciated the way that you showed it to us last year.
So there are some that are just not exciting. So I'll probably just verbally summarize those and then do printouts of many others. Okay.
No, and that's fine. And I think it's good for us to be reminded of what are all the budgets that fall underneath the BOCC for sure. In general, I can probably look at them, but if we want to do a process, we do have a new commissioner, it might be helpful for us all to hear some of the same information on some of the more complex ones if we can.
Okay.
And last year you did them with us individually. Do we need to do that, or do you want to do it at a board briefing? We could be together.
I think I'd like to do one-on-one. Okay. I just think there's some value in a forum where we can speak freely about future plans or ideas or, backgrounds on things without, getting into a deliberation space in public. But yeah. Okay. Paul?
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
One.
Anything else, Rachel?
I don't think so.
And Paul, I didn't ask, did you have anything other than your quick update on the conference you gave us? Did you have other commissioner updates? for
I
today?
think I wanted to ask about doing the transit presentation next week, just for timing purposes. I think that was it.
Okay, thank you. Then online, anybody online have anything for us? I see Sean, I see Sarah.
I don't have anything. Budgets are coming in. Been meeting with some of the department heads and other electeds over their budgets. And there'll be a supplemental budget meeting next Wednesday at the board briefing. I'm hijacking it first thing at 2:00.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Sarah?
Nothing for me, thank you. Nope,
Okay. Well,
have a
thank
good
you.
afternoon.
Thank you for being here.
Mhm.
Okay, Isabella, I know we already gave you one chance. Anything else we should know? Okay, well, if not, then we will actually adjourn this board briefing at 2:36 and give everyone their afternoon back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have fun.
I went to that conference that he's at, I think 2 years ago, and it was great. It was just a group of people that I don't often interact with because it was regional tourism.
Oh,
Yeah, it was really good. I'm glad he's
Excellent.
there.
Good. Well, and it seems like he has a lot of contact with Marcus, and it seems like that might be Marcus's kind of
Right.
group, right?
Right?
There's a new article from Marcus in the headline.
Okay.
Didn't see it.
Okay.
I
thank
did
you.
not, I haven't
I'll
seen
check it out.
paper today. The way she says that, I'm like, oh dear.
Sounds dreadful, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.